The SOS signal was not supposed to exist. It broke through the silence of deep space like a scream that refused to die. Over and over again, the same message repeated across the stars. It was old, broken, and full of fear. This is the Carl Trade Alliance. We are under attack. Our defenses have failed. We request immediate help. At first, the signal was ignored. In the Galactic Council chamber, hundreds of species listened in silence. The signal echoed in the background while massive holograms showed burning stations and shattered ships. The Carl were known as peaceful traders. They had no real army. Everyone knew they would not survive long. Still, no one moved. One by one, the great empires gave their reasons. The attackers are too powerful, said the Threx Dominion. We cannot risk our fleet, said the Valari Union. It is not our problem, said many others. The truth was simple. Helping the Carl meant war, and war meant loss. The SOS kept repeating. Hours passed, then days. The Carl stations went dark one by one. Their ships drifted powerless. Their cities burned. The Council watched it all from far away, safe behind politics and fear. Then something strange happened. A junior analyst from a small species noticed a new data line attached to the SOS. It showed the signal's full path through space. Most of it made sense. But one direction made her pause. The signal was also sent toward a remote system. A system marked in old records with a single word, Deathworld. The analyst swallowed and raised her voice. Council members, she said carefully, the SOS was sent toward the Sol system as well. The chamber reacted instantly. Murmurs spread. Some laughed nervously. Others looked uncomfortable. Humans, someone scoffed. Why waste a signal on them, another said. They will never answer. Everyone knew the stories. Humans came from a world with crushing gravity, violent weather, and endless natural disasters. Their history was full of wars, blood, and destruction. They fought each other for centuries and somehow survived. Most species avoided them, not because humans were cruel, but because they were unpredictable. They are Deathworlders, the council leader said. They keep to themselves. They do not involve themselves in galactic matters. The analyst nodded, but she was not convinced. The SOS continued. Suddenly the signal changed. The repeated message stopped. For one terrifying moment, the galaxy believed the Carl were finally gone. Then a new transmission appeared. Short, clear, calm. SOS received. The chamber fell completely silent. No one spoke, no one moved. That's impossible, someone whispered. Sensors across the galaxy began to alert. Long-range scanners picked up energy spikes from the Sol system. Ships were launching, not one or two. Hundreds. No, thousands. They're mobilizing, the analyst said, her voice shaking. Human fleets are leaving their system. The council leader stood slowly. His many eyes were wide with fear. But humans do not respond to alien conflicts, he said. They never have. The screen changed. A live feed showed massive human warships moving into formation. Their designs were rough, armored, and heavy. They looked old compared to sleek alien vessels. But they radiated danger. Weapon systems powered up. This was not a rescue mission. This was a war response. Back in the Carol system, the attackers were celebrating. They had already won. No one had come to help. No one ever did. Then space itself seemed to tear open. Human ships arrived without warning. The attackers froze. What are those? One enemy commander asked. The human fleet said nothing at first. Then a single message was broadcast, sent on every known frequency. It was not loud, it was not angry. It was calm. This is Human Fleet Command, the voice said. You sent a call for help. We heard it. The transmission paused for half a second. Then the final words came. And we are on our way. Across the galaxy, fear spread like fire, because everyone now understood the truth. The SOS had reached the Deathworlders, and they had answered. The galaxy did not sleep after the human message. Every major empire replayed the words again and again. We heard it. It was not a threat. That was what made it worse. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, emergency lights glowed red. Old treaties were reopened. Ancient warnings were pulled from forgotten archives. Species that had laughed before now spoke in whispers. The council leader demanded reports. Tell me everything we know about humans, he said. The room grew quiet. A Historian drone floated forward and began projecting images. Old, grainy records filled the air. Humans originate from Sol 3, the drone said. A high-gravity death world, extreme climate, constant natural disasters. Images showed violent storms, earthquakes, oceans swallowing cities. They evolved by fighting their environment, the drone continued. Survival required pain tolerance, endurance, and aggression. Another image appeared. Wars, explosions, burning cities. They also fought each other, repeatedly for thousands of years. Several council members looked away. They destroyed themselves many times, the drone said, and rebuilt every time. One alien whispered, "Why would any species do that?" The answer came from an old diplomatic file. "Because humans do not quit," the file read. The council remembered something else now. Humans were not fast to anger, but once they committed, they went all in. A sensor officer interrupted the silence. "Human fleets are not slowing," she said. "They are accelerating beyond safe limits." "That will damage their ships," someone protested. "Yes," the officer replied, "they know." Another report arrived. "Humans are rerouting civilian vessels away from their path," the officer added. "They are clearing space." The meaning was clear. They were preparing for violence. In the Coral system, the attackers finally understood that something was wrong. Their scanners screamed with warnings. Space was filling with unknown signatures. "They're primitive," the enemy commander said, trying to sound confident. "Their ships look outdated." But his hands shook. The human ships moved with brutal purpose. They did not spread out. They stayed close like a clenched fist. The first human transmission reached the Coral survivors. "This is Human Fleet Command," the voice said again. "Remain where you are, we will handle this." The Carol could barely believe it. No one had ever said those words to them before. Back in the council chamber, panic turned into fear. "If humans win," one leader said, "they will change the balance of power." Another answered, "If humans lose, they will not forget." The Historian drone played one final record. A human phrase translated long ago, "Never again," the drone explained. Humans use this phrase after great loss. It means they will not allow the same tragedy to repeat. The council realized something too late. The Kirill were not the reason humans came. The signal was a call for help. On Earth, deep beneath the planet's surface, Human Fleet Command watched the battle feeds. Faces were calm, voices steady. An admiral spoke quietly. "Confirm target," he said. "All hostile fleets," an officer replied. "Confirm civilian risk." "Minimal, we cleared the area." The admiral nodded once. "Then proceed." Human ships powered up weapons the galaxy had not seen in centuries. Not because they were advanced, but because they were cruelly effective. Kinetic cannons, boarding pods, close-range strikes. Weapons designed to work even when everything else failed. The enemy fired first. Human shields failed. Human ships burned, and they kept moving. "Why won't they retreat?" the enemy commander shouted. Because retreat was never part of the plan. Human ships slammed into enemy lines. Boarding pods launched. Marines fought in silence, trained for chaos, trained for fear. One Carol survivor watched in awe. "They are getting hurt," he whispered. "Why do they keep coming?" The answer came from a human Marine's open channel. "Because someone asked for help." Across the galaxy, worlds went dark as leaders shut down their transmissions. No one wanted humans to know what they were saying. The old warning returned to every mind. Do not provoke a Deathworlder. The human fleet pushed forward, unstoppable, relentless. This was no longer a rescue. It was a lesson. And the galaxy was about to learn it the hard way. The first human ship exploded. Its hull tore open under enemy fire, scattering metal and fire across space. Any other fleet would have pulled back. Any other commander would have ordered retreat. The humans did not. Instead, the remaining ships accelerated. Enemy commanders stared at their screens in confusion. "They are charging into the fire," one officer said. "Why?" The answer came seconds later. Human kinetic weapons opened fire. Massive metal rounds slammed into enemy shields, not caring about precision. Shields cracked, armor shattered. Ships that relied on energy defenses failed instantly. The attackers had planned for lasers and plasma. They had not planned for brute force. In the Coral system, debris filled space like a storm. Human ships pushed deeper, taking hits, losing sections, but never slowing. "They're damaged," an enemy captain shouted. "They should be retreating." "They're not slowing down," another replied. "They're getting closer." That was when the real terror began. Human ships crossed into close range. At that distance, enemy weapons became useless. Human cannons fired again and again. Boarding pods launched, slamming into enemy hulls with violent force. Inside one enemy cruiser, alarms screamed. Hull breach, multiple breaches. The doors exploded inward. Human Marines entered without hesitation. Heavy armor, visors dark, movements calm and precise. The enemy soldiers fired wildly. Humans kept advancing. Even when wounded, they moved forward. Even when falling, others stepped over them. One enemy officer backed away in fear. "They don't care if they die," he whispered. That was wrong. They cared. They were simply used to it. Across the battlefield, human commanders spoke in calm voices. "Ship 7 lost," one officer reported. "Mark it," the admiral replied. "Continue." The Carol survivors watched everything from their broken stations. They had expected heroes. What they saw were survivors. One Carol elder shook as he spoke. "They fight like this world already tried to kill them," he said. Because it had. Back at the Galactic Council, fear turned into something worse. Regret. They watched human ships burn and keep going. They watched enemy fleets fall apart. "They are not trying to win cleanly," a council member said. "They are trying to end it." The historian drone spoke again. "Humans do not seek dominance," it said. "They seek resolution." Another enemy fleet tried to flee. Human ships pursued immediately. "They are running!" an officer shouted. "Do not let them escape," the human admiral ordered. "They started this." Missiles streaked through space. Engines failed. Enemy ships slowed, helpless. A final message came from the enemy commander, broadcast openly. "We withdraw," he shouted. "The Kareel are insignificant. This war is meaningless." The human reply came fast. "This war ended when you ignored their SOS," the admiral said. "You do not get to decide when it stops." The channel closed. Human ships fired. One by one, the attacking fleet disappeared in fire and silence. The surviving enemy ships surrendered. Humans accepted the surrender but did not celebrate. Marines secured ships. Medical teams were deployed not only for the Carl but for wounded enemies too. The Carol could not understand that. "Why help them?" one asked. A human medic answered softly. "Because we're done killing today." The battle ended. But the shock did not. Across the galaxy, emergency meetings were called. Fleets were recalled. Borders were reinforced. Every empire asked the same question. What happens if humans decide we are next? The answer scared them even more. Humans did not threaten anyone. They did not demand tribute. They simply repaired the Carol stations, escorted survivors, and prepared to leave. Before departing, the human admiral sent one final public message. "This was not an act of conquest," he said. "This was a response." The galaxy listened. "If you hear a call for help," he continued, "and choose to ignore it, do not interfere when we answer." The transmission ended. Human ships turned back toward Sol. Silence followed. The galaxy understood the truth now. The Deathworlders were not violent by choice. But when pushed, they ended wars forever. The battle was over, but the galaxy did not feel safe. News of what happened in the Carl system spread faster than any ship could travel. Recordings of human warships, boarding actions, and the final message played again and again across every major world. No one focused on how the humans won. They focused on how humans behaved while winning. There was no anger in their voices, no victory cries, no threats, only calm orders and clear decisions. That frightened the galaxy more than rage ever could. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the atmosphere was heavy. Many seats were empty. Some species had refused to attend. Others were too afraid to speak. The council leader finally broke the silence. "We ignored the SOS," he said quietly, "and humans answered it." No one argued. A political advisor stepped forward. "Humans did not punish us," she said. "They did not accuse us. They did not even mention our refusal." "Which is worse," another replied, "because it means they remember." The historian drone activated once more. "This is a known human pattern," it said. "When humans are disappointed, they become distant. When they are angry, they become loud." The chamber grew colder. "So they are disappointed?" someone asked. "Yes," the drone replied. "That is more dangerous." Across the galaxy, military commands reacted in panic. Fleets were recalled from borders near human space. Long-planned invasions were canceled overnight. A message appeared in many command centers. "Do not provoke human territory." Merchants changed routes. Pirates vanished. Even crime slowed near human trade lanes. No one wanted their problem to become the next SOS. On the Kirill homeworld, survivors gathered under the remains of a broken station. Human engineers worked in silence, repairing power lines and restoring air systems. The Kirill watched carefully. One elder finally approached a human officer. "Why did you come?" he asked. "You had nothing to gain." The human officer paused. "Because once," he said slowly, "we sent signals too." The elder did not understand. The officer looked toward the stars, and no one answered. The meaning settled like weight. Back on Earth, Human Fleet Command reviewed the damage. Ships were lost, lives were gone, no celebrations followed. The admiral removed his uniform jacket and sat quietly. "Status?" he asked. "Mission success," an officer replied. "Civilians saved, enemy neutralized." The admiral nodded. "Good," he said, "then we did our job." One officer hesitated. "The galaxy is afraid of us now." The admiral looked tired. "They were afraid before," he said. "They just didn't know why." On distant worlds, alien children watched forbidden footage of the battle. Parents tried to turn it off, but curiosity was stronger than fear. "They look like monsters," one child said. "No," a parent whispered. "They look like protectors." That debate spread everywhere. Were humans saviors, or were they the greatest threat the galaxy had ever seen? The Galactic Council issued a new classified directive. Any distress signal near human space is to be forwarded immediately. No debate, no delay. Because no one wanted humans to think they were ignored again. A smaller empire sent a secret message to Earth. It was short and careful. "We acknowledge your actions. We seek peaceful relations." Earth did not reply immediately. When the response came, it was simple. "Peace is acceptable. Nothing more." That was enough. Meanwhile, the defeated enemy survivors were questioned. Many were still shaking. One was asked why they attacked the Kirill. "They were weak," the prisoner said. "No one protects the weak." The human interrogator leaned closer. "They do now," he replied. Across the stars, a new warning was added to star maps and navigation systems. Deathworld, Sol System. Status: do not provoke. Note: responds to SOS. The galaxy had learned many lessons before, but this one was different. This lesson was not about power. It was about choice. You could ignore the weak, or you could be human. And the galaxy was not sure which was more terrifying. The silence after the human fleet returned home was worse than the battle. No explosions, no broadcasts, no warnings, just quiet. Across the galaxy, military sensors stayed active day and night, watching human space. Nothing moved. No fleets launched. No weapons powered up. That made everyone nervous. A quiet Deathworlder was far more frightening than an angry one. In the outer regions, small empires began changing their laws. Old rules that allowed the capture of weak species were quietly erased. Slave markets closed. Pirate clans disbanded or vanished into deep space. Not because humans ordered it, because no one wanted to be the next reason humans launched again. The Galactic Council met once more, but this time there were no arguments. "We must change," the council leader said, "or we will not survive the next human response." A council member asked the question everyone feared. "What if humans decide to judge us?" The historian drone answered. "Humans do not judge words," it said, "they judge actions." That did not bring comfort. Reports came in from across the stars. Human diplomats were visiting worlds they had ignored for centuries. Not with threats, not with demands. With questions. Do you respond to distress calls? What do you do with the weak? Who do you protect? Some governments lied. Human diplomats left without comment. Those governments began panicking soon after. In one distant system, a warlord attacked a small colony. Believing no one would notice, the SOS was sent too late. The colony fell. The warlord laughed. Until human ships appeared. No warning, no message. Just fire. The warlord's empire collapsed in a single day. Human ships vanished immediately afterward. The galaxy understood the message. There would be no speeches. No second chances. On the Kirill homeworld, life slowly returned. Cities were rebuilt. Trade restarted. Children played under skies that had once burned. A memorial stood in the capital. It did not show warriors or weapons. It showed a simple signal icon, SOS. Below it were the words, "They answered." Kirill elders spoke of humans with quiet respect. "They are not gods," one said. "They are something rarer." "What?" a young Kirill asked. "Neighbors who listen." On Earth, humans returned to their lives. Factories worked, cities glowed, ships were repaired. But something had changed. Young humans studied old history more closely. Old recordings of ignored signals were shared. The idea spread quietly. Never ignore a call for help. The human admiral stood before a new group of officers. "We are not the galaxy's police," he said. "We are not heroes." He paused. "But if someone screams into the dark," he continued, "and we hear it?" The officers finished the sentence in unison. "We answer." Far away, the Galactic Council finalized a new law. It was simple. All distress signals must be investigated, no exceptions. Some protested. "What if it costs us everything?" one leader asked. The council leader replied slowly. "Then it costs us everything. Humans already proved the price of doing nothing." That law became known as the human rule, not because humans demanded it, because everyone else was afraid not to follow it. Years later, explorers found ruins of the fleet that had attacked the Kirill. They were untouched. No salvage, no memorial, only silence. A warning. Stories spread among traders and travelers. If you are powerful, humans will watch you. If you are peaceful, humans will ignore you. If you are cruel, pray no one sends an SOS. The galaxy did not become kinder overnight, but it became quieter, more careful, more aware, because somewhere beyond the stars lived Deathworlders who had survived everything their world threw at them, and chose to protect others anyway. And that idea terrified the galaxy more than any weapon ever could. Years passed. The galaxy changed quietly, slowly, but forever. New stars were mapped. New trade routes opened. Old empires weakened, not by war, but by fear of becoming cruel again. Every distress signal was now treated seriously. Even the smallest voice in space was heard. Because no one wanted to test the Deathworlders twice, the story of the Kirill SOS became legend. Children across the galaxy learned it in school. Not as a battle story, but as a warning. A call was made. The galaxy stayed silent. Humans did not. On distant worlds, storytellers spoke of humans in low voices. They described a species born on a world that tried to kill them every day. A species that learned pain before peace, loss before hope, and still chose to answer. On Earth, humans did not think of themselves as legends. The admiral who led the rescue retired quietly. He lived near the sea, watching waves crash against the shore. When asked once about the battle, he only said one thing: "We did what anyone should." But the galaxy knew better. A new crisis came years later. A massive star began to collapse near a populated system. Evacuation was impossible. Millions would die. The Galactic Council panicked. Ships were too slow. Technology failed. Then someone asked the question that mattered. Did we send the SOS? The signal went out. It did not even finish broadcasting. Human ships were already moving. They arrived faster than physics allowed, pushing engines past safety limits. They evacuated as many as they could. Ships burned. Some were lost. But millions lived. Once again, humans left without asking for thanks. The council leader watched the feeds in silence. "They will destroy themselves one day," he said softly. The historian drone answered. "Yes," it replied, "but never before trying to save others." That sentence became part of the official galactic records. Meanwhile, in the darkest parts of space, something else happened. Cruel empires faded, not destroyed, abandoned. No allies, no trade, no help when disaster struck. Because when their own SOS signals were sent, no one rushed to answer. The galaxy had learned to choose carefully. On the Kirill homeworld, a human memorial ship visited once a year. It did not land. It only orbited for a short time, then left. The Kirill children waved anyway. They knew who was watching. A young Kirill once asked a human diplomat a simple question. "Why do you help?" the child asked. "The galaxy is afraid of you." The diplomat smiled gently. "Our world taught us something," she said. "What?" the child asked. "That survival means nothing," the human replied, "if you survive alone." That answer spread further than any fleet ever could. Centuries later, humans were no longer called Deathworlders. They were called something else. The Answerers. Maps changed. Where danger once stood, a small symbol appeared, a signal icon, and beneath it a note written in many languages. If you call, they will come, not because they are perfect, not because they are kind, but because they remember what it is like to be unheard. The final galactic archive recorded the Kirill SOS as the moment everything changed. The moment the galaxy learned that the most terrifying force was not power, not weapons, not fleets, but a species strong enough to survive hell and still care, and somewhere deep in space a small ship sent out a weak signal, broken, afraid. The message barely traveled, but it reached Sol. On Earth, a console lit up. A human officer looked at the screen and did not hesitate. "SOS received," she said. And once again, the galaxy held its breath.